Met 'n baie interessante vrou vanoggend. Sjoe, jy kan besluit of jy vir haar gaan join in haar amazing werk wat sy doen, maar ja, sy is live saam met ons. Lucinda Parsons, owner, director and vision holder of His Kingdom Dance School. Baie welkom. Baie welkom. Jy kan so waai gee daar na die kamera toe. Daar sê ons is live, ons is gereed om te gesels 'n bietjie oor 'n amazing initiative. I also want to, so I mentioned, if you just tuned in, Lucinda Parsons, she's the owner and director and vision holder of His Kingdom Dance School in Cape Town, South Africa. She's also a mentor. She mentors the worship dancers online as well, locally and abroad through the Ardent Mentorship Program. She's the lead mentor for worship prophetic dance at a worship school in Singapore, partnered with them, called Awakened Generation. She loves the local church, and her heart is to see her grow in the fullness of expression when worshiping, to assist others worship God because they have a revelation of His love and know that our expressions of worship are important to Him. She's married to Bertram Parsons, and we have Matthew, she says, Reuben and Benjamin as gifts from God to enjoy and steward for God, to build legacy and to continue passing the inheritance of leadership, faith, and love into this world, to be hope carriers and serve as Christ with humility. Together, as a family, they desire to be an encouragement to others wherever they can. Now, Lucinda is a qualified dance teacher for approximately 26 years, and now she treasures those years and leadership experience as her wealth to share with others and inheritance. Beautiful. That was a mouthful, but that's your heart, eh?
Absolutely. Thank you, Andre.
You are so welcome. Wow, where did it start, Lucinda? Where did it start for you? You are a dancer yourself.
Yes, I am.
And it started right there.
It started right there, probably as Psalm 139 says, we are woven together in our mother's wombs, and with many colors. I love the Amplified version. It speaks about, embroidered with many colors. And I think one of those colors that I've been etched with and embroidered has got dance in it. There's a dance thread.
Come on.
And my parents said that I've been dancing since the time I could stand and walk on my tippy toes, like many of our little girls. We see the potential.
Yes.
I started my formal dance training years at 6 years old. So it started off with classical ballet because that was the dance genre to go into in our season, in that time. So I studied. I went all the way through until university days. Studied at University of Cape Town. I come from a home that is not born again. I come back from a background that is church-going believers, but not spirit-filled believers. And so my parents just did the right thing, saw the gift, sent me to dance classes. I enjoyed it and went to study. It has its journey, its own story, but for another day. And studied, qualified as a dance teacher in ballet, and then went to teach at the state schools for about 4 years. And then I got broody, had a babes, and Matthew was born, and all of a sudden I decided, you know what, I want to be home. I don't want to be working. I want to be with my child. And hubby obviously said, hey, we cannot live off one income. You're going to have to do something. And by then, I'd already committed my life to Christ. Just 2-3 years prior to this decision that I wanted to come home. And hubby said, you're going to have to supplement. And a prayer friend and I went into prayer. And we both came out of that closet saying, God's not done with my dancing and my teaching. So I had by then already started writing a curriculum, because the minute I got saved at the age of 26, and now I was 29, wanting to come home on the eve of my 30th, the Lord said, write a dance curriculum. And I said, whoa, I'm only born again like for a year. How do I do this? I'm not very... and I don't know the word enough. He said, no, take all your resources from the time you started dancing, all the things you've been exposed to, and I've been exposed to many opportunities in my dance journey. He said, I'm going to write with you. And that's exactly what he did. And then when I said, okay, babes, I'm gonna open a dance school, he said, where's the people? I said, I know, the Lord said he's going to give me the people. I must just take my curriculum, what I started writing, the little bit that it was still, by that stage, it wasn't fully fledged yet. He just said, take that little bit and start a school. And I did that. And 23 years later, and it's a flourishing, thriving school. And it's, there's been seed sown all over, just from starting to be a supplement of an income. It fast turned into a ministry where I realized, oh my word, this is what I was born to do. And just everything came together as I grew in the Lord. I started to see his purposes and his plans, and why I had to go and study dance, and why I had my journey, why I didn't become a dancer because I was chasing after being a professional dancer, but an injury that he obviously saw he's going to use this to divert my attention. Yes, orchestrated my path because he knew where I needed to be. He took my attention off being a professional dancer, because I probably would have had the capacity to go in that direction if I didn't get my injury, because I was one of those, frontline dancers in your dance studio, so I had the potential. Yes, I had the potential to go in that direction, but that had taken a fast, sharp right into the direction of teaching, because my dream was shattered. I wanted to dance in the tutu, and like every little girl has that dream. But God was in it from the beginning. Like I said, from Psalm 139, when I was still being embroidered, he knew. And I think that all added to the passions I have today. That is why I love dances as well as equipping people who are in leadership, teaching. So it's twofold. Being a dancer and being a teacher and a leader is completely different. And so that is where it all started. It started in my mother's home, and parents that recognized my gift. And even though they were not even having a close relationship with the Lord at that stage, they recognized the gift, and they said, let's put her into dance classes. Praise the Lord for that. And here I am sitting with you, Andre, in a studio talking about
these amazing things, talking about online dance lessons now as well. So his Kingdom Dance School transformed over the years, and you now at a very different place to where you were at.
Absolutely, yes. So we started off just teaching in our journey actually over there with venues has its own story. So we started off with the municipal buildings, dancing at the library, dancing at the sports center, and it has all its challenges, but we were faithful in those seasons, being a good steward, looking after those spaces as if it was ours.
Come on.
With every challenge that came, we just took it on, we faced it. And I think that is how the Lord works. He builds our character through those times, and he also wants to see how faithful you are with other people's things. And then eventually, in 2013, we got our own little space, which God really blessed us with. Through the income of the school, we could hire a safe space for the girls to have their own special hidden space where they could be creative. And then COVID hit, obviously. Right? 2020, and what do I do? And the Lord just said, you're going to continue. And I then went online. I didn't realize that I was actually going to take to this online thing so well. I just had the capacity. Once again, I think it's a grace and a gift. Though we were on screen and I was in my little lounge teaching, I just had the feel for it. I just, it was as if I was speaking to you right here now. And it just came naturally. It really just was the Lord as well. I think I discovered that this is a gift I have, to not only be in a room with people, but even to be via Zoom or via videos and those sort of thing. That is also something He's gifted me. So I started that, and Ardent was actually birthed out of that. So when we returned back to the studios where we could go back, my normal classes continued, and then the online people during that time of pandemic that were not in the in our borders, beyond our borders, that were also participating, because then I opened it up globally. I said, listen, we're all online, so if you want to join a class, and I had people from the Philippines, I had people from Philippines, from Singapore, from Malaysia. I just had people, and I think the time zones of Asia is just perfect because they're 6 hours ahead of us. So it just worked perfectly. So I drew a lot of the people from that Asia. Continent, from that side of the world. And they said, no, Lucinda, we need to continue. And I said, why not? Let's continue.
Let's go.
Then I just continued that. And then a dancer, one of my dancers that moved on in a season of her life, couldn't come to dance classes in person, said, you know what, Lucinda, why don't you start something for us girls that are even living right here in Cape Town, South Africa? We can't get to the classroom, but if we can pop online quickly in our homes in some spare time, because by then people had adjusted their workspaces. Their homes became like a safe place for us to do things. And one of my dancers, her name is Lauren, she just said to me on New Year's Eve 2021, and she said to me, hey, listen, do something. I need to get into space with you. I need your mentorship. And I said, let's do it. And that's how Ardent was birthed. I said, I threw it out there, and I had my first 12 girls doing an online course with me, and I'm still doing it, and
What are
that's
the
my
ages?
online journey.
What's the ages of these girls?
These girls range. At first, I had some girls from Korea as well. They were 11
Wow.
and 13. We danced a full year after pandemic, a full year. They were South Africans who relocated
relocated,
to
okay.
Korea.
Oh, wow.
And their mom said, "Hey, Lucinda, I would love this for my girls." And I said, "Why not?" So we started off with 11 and a 13-year-old, just a preteen and a teen. We danced for a year. It was awesome. It was amazing. And then the other girls, obviously, I've mostly of the girls, they are 18 and over.
Yes.
And then obviously my Korean girls were the youngest
The
at the
youngest.
time. But yeah, so it's 18 plus. And I think my oldest, my more mature mentee,
Yeah.
I'm sure she wouldn't mind me speaking because she's not in South Africa. She's
Yes, okay,
40
okay.
plus. Ja.
Wow.
Ja.
As jy sopas ingeskakel het by 729 Kaapse Kansel, ek gesels met die director and founder of His Kingdom Dance School. I mean, this is so exciting to be able to, just hear this lady's heart and soul that she's pouring into dance and to these girls, and just seeing how God has, I mean, Lucinda, your testimony, this is all just testimony. You remind me of the scripture that says, Romans 8 verse 28.
Yes.
All things work together for good, and just how God redirected you, how He's orchestrated it, how it just all came together. There's been highlights, there's been difficulties, but you've worked through it, right?
That's right. Yeah. And I think one of the most recent difficulty that we had to work through is, God was really so gracious during the pandemic. I mean, there were so many ministries that had to close because obviously venues were an issue,
Yes.
because we weren't allowed now. There were restrictions. We couldn't
Yeah.
be these big groups, and people were closing their venues.
Yes.
Even municipal buildings were saying, like, we can't have crowded events. And so there were a lot of beautiful ministries doing a lot of work in
Yes.
Cape Town, South Africa, that unfortunately had to step back a little bit, and shy away from the opportunity God had given them.
Yes.
And God was really gracious to us as His Kingdom Dance School, because we continued for another 3 years after the pandemic. And then last year, June, I think our most emotional challenge we went through was to surrender our space. Because by then, people, their budgets were shifting. People were struggling with being able to pay school fees,
Yes.
or, my husband even lost his job during that time. So he was my main investor, because he said to me, "You know what, babes, I see that the same guy that said, you need to earn an income, you bring
Where's
home."
the people?
Yeah. By then, I mean, he had seen, like, way before 2023, but I mean, he had seen, listen, I can't contend with what the Lord is doing here. I need to
Yes,
release this.
yes.
And
Because
then
he's
we
seeing
went-
the fruit as
That's
well.
right. And he's seeing not just the fruit of, like, for me, an
Yeah.
income,
Yes.
but he was starting to see the work.
Wow.
And then we started saying we desire not to hold this away from anyone. So if people start and then life happens financially for them, we want them to continue, because we know that they are faithful. And then when their journey of abundance flows again, they can pick up the pieces. And so we did that for a decade while we were in the studio, our space that we were renting. And Bertram said, "I want to work hard. I'm going to trust God so that I can get promotion financially, so that this finance you're getting from the school, you just keep pouring it back into the school. You don't bring it home."
Yes.
So for about a decade, I just took home a stipend, and we poured it back into the venue, paying the venue. When my husband lost his work,
Thank you, Bertram. Shout out
yes,
to Bertram.
thank you, Bertram. And then when he lost his job and the pandemic hit,
Yes.
now the ministry became not my stipend I needed to take. I needed to take this as an income for the first time. It was the hardest time. I'm even getting emotional now. It was the hardest time because we had to make the difficult shifts. When people can't afford to pay, but still we stuck through with it. We said, "Listen, guys, you need to stay, because this is bigger than us thinking about money." But people started to also realize that as a family we needed to survive.
Yeah.
So we got to our first biggest challenge with our space was we sat with our home and we sat with the studio, and we decided we can't pay the rent for our home and the rent for the studio. We need to make a decision. Which do we give up? And my boys and my family, we decided, you know what? We're going to trust God
Yeah.
to restore this side of things, but
Yeah.
we need to keep this side of things going. So we surrendered, and we sold our home so we could
Sold
get
your
out
home.
of some debt. Yes, we didn't pay, so we could take this money and plow it back into rental because there were at that stage over 100 girls still. The school started off with about 150 plus girls. Through the pandemic, we went down to 110, which was not bad, eh? Not bad. And then by the time 2023 hit, we were about 90 dancers, 96 dancers. And I said, you know what, the strain is too much. So we had to give up the studio. And we are now dancing at my local church, the Father's House, which is embraced. They've said, come in, come home to the Father's
children.
house. So
Wow.
we are ministering there, we're dancing there. Obviously, we have to downscale a lot.
Yes.
But God has shown us there are new things on the horizon. So
Hey.
through this, Romans 8:28, like you said earlier,
Yeah.
through this shift that we thought was, oh my word, we're putting this Isaac on the altar and like, oh, we love our private space. We love that. It was a beautiful space. It already was a beautiful, safe space for the girls. And shifting was a big adjustment. But when we did the shift, we realized, but God is doing something new here.
Completely new. Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing
Brand
something
new.
new. He's doing something new. And that is what I'm excited about speaking about this morning, because
Yes.
for us it is exciting.
Yeah.
For us it's a huge shift, but it's an exciting shift. It's taking us out of our comfort zones, and I think when you're out of your comfort zone, you truly grow. So we are excited for the next decade or so to get really, really into the new, and
Yeah.
it's gonna only come. It's only gonna be produced through a crushing. You know,
Yes.
good things, that anointing, that
Yes.
oil, that
Yes.
wine, that new wine can only come when there's a
Yes.
crushing.
All of that crush.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Wow. So there's a whole lot of brand new things on the horizon for His Kingdom Dance School. What's new? What's your vision going into this year? And people can actually book your dancers?
They can book the dancers, and not only book the dancers. For us, you know, Andre, for us, okay, here we go.
Yes.
Let me try to do
Just
this
gooi
in
it.
bite sizes
Yes.
and like try to get it onto the pizza. And
Okay.
people need to chew the parts of the pizza they like.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
or eat the whole slice.
Yes.
So in the shifting season, one of the big things was the Lord started telling me in 2020 already, Lucinda, you're going to step down. Not like, I'm going to step down. What do you mean, Lord? This
Yeah.
is my food. You know, this is what I love consuming. I love
Yes.
working with dancers. I love seeing them break grounds, not only in their dancing, but spiritually and, you know, as individuals, you know.
Yes.
So I loved being in the classroom. I loved teaching. I loved to be hands-on, physically, spiritually, emotionally, hands-on.
Yes.
And all these years I've been building team, obviously. So there's always girls that come in, they partner with my heart, they would come closer, they would share the load with me. And as they share the load, I could also impart, invest, give them space to also grow their gifts. But now the Lord is saying, no, Lucinda is going to remove me and give me a completely different role and function to play. So I'm not going to be Samedi Mensa. I'm going to be
Yes.
like, oh Lord, what you doing? And then slowly over the last couple of years, with all of these transitions, with going online, with seeing what God is doing in Ardent, with seeing what God is doing in Singapore with me, it started to become a lot more, I became rustig. Okay, Lord, I don't need to panic about what's going to happen to me.
Yeah.
You obviously have something else you want me to pioneer.
Yes.
And you need pioneers. You need the apostolic. You need people to go and establish new things for the next generation. So, okay, Lord, so I'm moving out from being in the fivefold, just a teacher and like a shepherd, pastorally, you know, with the girls, and like kind of like helping them out of not just evangelizing internally. You pulling me to the outside of the boundaries of HKDS walls, because I've been committed for 21 years to only focus on His Kingdom Dance School. The four walls, what God has entrusted, He just said, blinkers on, eyes down, head down. This is my grounds I'm giving you. Work the vineyard. And so now He's telling me it's time for you to step out of this vineyard, and there's more vineyards you need to go and
Wow.
visit.
Wow.
You're not going to go and put, from scratch, but you need to work in the vineyards that need assistance. And so that is the best picture I can give of what's happening.
Yeah.
So at the moment we have a team, 2 new principals, a junior
Fantastic.
school and a senior school principal, because I realized after 1 year of transition, big shout out to Danielle Mitchell.
Thank
She
you,
was the
Danielle.
one, yes, she was the one I believe the Lord said to me in 2022, you need to hand it over to her. She's the most long-standing adult dancer in the school. in the school since like 2002. So like
Sure.
she was there for 20 years.
from the start.
Yeah, right from the start, from a time of me handing over to her.
Yes.
She was in the school for 20 years already.
Sure.
And so the Lord said, this is the one. It was hard, it was tough, because you know what? I've not done this before. She hasn't had this huge ministry to look after. And I just thought, you got it, girl. Go for it. Take the baton.
Yes.
I'm here. I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader on the
Yes, yes,
side
yes.
here. And then I just mentoring and tendering to the grounds.
Yeah.
Man, was it a difficult year, because then I realized during the year, there's no way you can give this all to Danielle. It's
Yeah.
too big.
It's too big. It's
for one
huge, yeah.
person.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
I realized I was one person doing this for 21 years, 22 years, because God had graced me to do it. There's a grace for everything. And I underestimated actually the mantle I was carrying. And so in this past year of transition, I've also had a very personal encounter and a personal realization of my worth and value and the gifts God has given me. And really, because you know, when you put your head down and you put the blinkers on and you just work unto the Lord, you're not really aware of yourself. You're not really, you're not seeing.
You just do what
You're
you
just
need to
doing
do.
it because you're passionate and you love
Yeah.
what you're doing. And I think that is the best way. I'll still advise people to do it that way, because
yes.
there's a certain humility and there's a certain amount of character that gets built in that season,
Yes.
because you don't look for platforms. Because for 21 years, I just didn't look for platforms. I
Yeah.
just said, this is what the Lord's given
Yeah.
me. He's not commissioned me to run around the world or to go and advertise myself. Just head down.
Here's my zeal. Here's
That's
my passion.
right.
I'm doing
and,
this.
And whoever comes in, you just
Yes.
pour it out into them. And I see the fruits in that. And I would still advise
Wow.
people who have got their ministries, don't try to look for platforms, because I've noticed the Lord, Psalm 139, He knows everything. He knows exactly where you're going to go. He knows exactly who you're going to be teaching, the grounds you're going to cover. You just focus on what He wants you to do now, and He's preparing the way for you. And that's the best advice I can give
is
to
brilliant.
aspiring or those who are in this for a long time, saying,
Yes.
when am I going to do the more? Just hang in there. There's a pruning, there's a shaping. Just abide in Him. I was abiding, and then I realized, I said, Danielle, my girl, I'm so sorry. We're going to make some shifts in 2024.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Big ones.
Because this is a strain on you. I can see. And she had a full-time job as well.
Sure.
But she was passionate. She loved this. And
Yes.
she wants to make the best of it. And I said, I know you want to, but I'm going to have to multiply this role into many.
Yes.
So we have a junior principal and we have a senior principal. And not only do we have two principals, we're also shifting HKDS. HKDS used to be from 3 years old all the way till plus ages. There's no end to
Oh,
it, right?
okay.
But because we need to move with the times,
Yes.
we've realized that, you know, in the world today, the academic schools, there's so much pressure on the kids
Yeah.
that we've realized that for adults to come and dance, those who are adult professional working moms who have families, in yesteryear, they used to be at the dance school. They were there. It was their safe place. It was their get
Yes.
away from home.
Yes.
But moms, it looks like ever increasing since pandemic. There's more responsibilities on the moms at home
Yeah.
to help the kids to, and the curriculum has changed so much in academics. So yesteryear, we could do all our extramurals and do schoolwork and like thrive. Now the kids are struggling. They have to go for extra maths, they go extra physics, extra this, extra that, extra speech classes. Mom has to help with all the homework, the loads of tasks. We're not seeing the adult dancers
Yes.
coming in, but there's a desire for them to actually also minister, also learn to worship the Lord
Yes,
through
yes,
dance. And so what we're doing now is we are cutting off HKDS dance school. We are making it only from 4 years old till 16 years old.
4 till 16. That's
4 to
that's-
16,
oh, that's
a junior
our
school
cutoff.
and a senior school.
Okay.
Then when you get to grade 11, because we've noticed our grade 11s and our grade 12s and our tertiary, when you go and study, that is a whole other category.
All right.
There's different dynamics. Their focuses, their attendance at class, we've seen over the years,
Okay, okay.
starting to change from yesteryear. It's
Okay.
not the same.
Okay.
So we are creating a very special program for the girls from grade 11, that's from 17 years old, all the way until you finish studying, whether it's your master's or PhD. So we're going up till 25, but if you're 35 and still studying, welcome to that category. But we're making a very special space. It's called the
Yes.
Ardent Artistic and Creative Program.
Yes.
That's starting a whole new school program for those girls. So we are wiring that academic year, dance academic year,
Okay.
differently so that it accommodates those girls for their academic years. So it's a whole new program. It's an exciting program. Not only is it going to give them more time to do
Yes.
their studies and their passions, which is to come and learn how to dance and to worship the Lord and to grow in the Lord, we are also now going to be giving them assignments, and it's going to develop them in their artistic gifts and their creative gifts. So that program is going to focus very much on choreographers, developing your own movement identity. It's focused very much on you being shaped around your individuality. When young dancers are in training, you got to tell them what to do.
Yes.
Copy teacher. And they all learn to dance like
Yes.
Auntie Lucinda. They all
Yes.
learn to dance like Auntie Candace. They all
Yes.
learn to dance like Auntie Danielle, Auntie Jaden. It's like, they all dance like their teachers.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you start to see when they become individuals, and I don't know if you've noticed, but matriculants, all of a sudden, from 2 ponytails, you start to see their hairstyles change. You
Yeah,
start to
yeah.
see they have their
Yeah,
own little
everything.
dress code. So we're going to tap into that.
Okay.
We're just going to be wise. Individuality, authenticity starts to kick in at that age.
Yeah.
So why not start to build into their dance and their gifts as well to develop their authenticity in their movements? Because we've also noticed over the years, it's those grade 11, grade 12ers, those tertiary education girls.
Yes.
They're developing their individual identity. And so there's a beautiful meshing of what we've taught you
Yeah.
and how to do it for you now to create your own out of what and how we've shown you.
How do we contact you? He's
You,
a listener.
you contact me via
Yes.
071
I'm sure the girls are excited. I'm sure parents are excited.
879.
Yes.
0520, or you get us on Facebook. We are His Kingdom Dance School, HKDS Dance School, or you can email me at hiskingdance@gmail.com.
Yes.
Yes, or just ask people, have you heard about His Kingdom Dance School?
Yes.
Do you have a contact number? Yes, but give us a shout out. We are on social media. We are out there. A lot of people are aware of us. So just give a shout into the air. Help! I need to get hold of someone at His Kingdom Dance School. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we're
we have registrations coming up on the 2nd of March for the Ardent program.
Okay.
So please do come. That will include the adult programs as well. We have got a very special program for adults moving forward, which is totally different from previous years. So we look forward to seeing everybody. Yes, seeing you.
You heard her? It's there. It's happening. His Kingdom Dance School. I mean, did you hear this lady's heart is super big? Lucinda, you've been a blessing. Thank you so much for visiting
you,
7 to 9
Andre.
Cape Pulpit. Saterdag saam zijn die volgend. And wow, what a blessing you are. All the best.
Thank you.
Where you guys go from strength to strength.
Yes, you too. Thank you.
Blessings.